Welcome back to another episode of Future Barn Finds. The E30, it's something I've been working on for a while, and I'm just going to do a quick summary in case anyone new is watching, or you might have forgotten because it's been that long. Basically, I bought the E30 last year for sort of a bit of fun in the summer, and I just wanted a slow car to sort of improve on a little bit. And I did a couple of thousand miles with it and had some fun, but as usual I got carried away and I bought an E46 M3 basically just for the engine for this car. So the slow fun car has possibly turned into the fastest car of the three, which was a little bit of a silly choice I think, but we're going with it. The reason there's been no updates, basically the parts I wanted to use, I already had the parts to sort of just throw the engine in and make it work, which would have been like the M50 sump from the E34, and that meant running a single pickup oil pump, which I wasn't overly happy with. People do it, but basically it means you've got a very low sump and the incorrect oil pump. S54s are already kind of fussy as far as that goes, and it's not really something I want to be destroying £4,000 engines frequently. So the idea was I wanted to stick with the sort of original OEM sump and oil pump, which meant a custom subframe, and I'm running E36 front knuckles and suspension. So basically I've been waiting on the subframe because due to the current climate of the world, everything's taken a little bit longer. However, the past few weeks I've had a few boxes arrive, so I've now got suspension, I've now got the subframe and anti-roll bars and a few other parts. So it's time to get tore into this car now, and I'm going to have to really strip it down and repair any sort of metal work, which I'm hoping isn't going to take too long, and then we can sort of do a bit of a dry build and figure out the wiring and the cooling system, etc. And hopefully over the next couple of months this thing's going to be finished, because my other car should be due to come back again, and I've got some exciting updates for that one too. Well, it's actually been two weeks or so since I filmed the first part of this video, and initially I sort of thought I'd close things out, and I was quite upbeat and positive about the condition of the car, and then I decided to come down the next day, which I didn't actually film any of, and strip a little bit more. So I removed the dash and a few other bits because I knew I was going to have to do so anyway, because I had to remove the auto pedal box and the heater matrix because there was a little bit of repair work to do. I then just I ended up removing the whole wiring loom from the car, just because in the end it seemed easier to do that than anything else, because it had to come out forwards. It's turned into a big job, as everything does. So really the main issue of concern and what sort of got my mood down a little bit was I I removed the sort of heat, insulation, sound deadening stuff from the firewall, and yeah, it's pretty crusty. I'll show you. So I had noticed this in the first clip, which I'd filmed. Obviously I mentioned it, but I'm not going to include that now because it doesn't really make any sense anymore. The car had a small accident at some point. It's fairly insignificant, really. If you compare it to this side, you can see it's just very slightly dented, and I did straighten it out a little bit better than it was. However, I'm now at the point where I'm repainting and redoing everything on the front end, and there's a little bit of crust there. So what I've done is I've got a full front cut from a breaker car, so I'm just going to repair this corner and just make it a bit nicer, really. Not really the end of the world. Obviously the engine bay from this side, these parts are usually fairly rusty and mine are okay. Everything else is not too bad. There's a little bit there just where the wiring loom feeds through. It's going to be a little bit of an awkward repair by the looks of it, but here's the big one. Look at that. So from what I understand, there's the heater matrix compartment here, and then see the little pipe that I've just put back down. I'd imagine you get a lot of condensation from heat from the heater matrix, heating up and cooling down, etc., and then you've got the difference in temperature between the engine bay, the car, and outside and everything. So I'm guessing this is a bit of a condensation drain, which just happens to feed straight down the back of the insulation, which is probably not the best idea in the world. I imagine it's supposed to sort of direct on the outside, but mine didn't look like it was. And yeah, the scary thing about this is, if you can see the little steering coupler there, that's what was holding me in contact with the road, really. So I was driving this car, and yes, it was only a 318, and it's not the fastest thing in the world, but you know, I was sort of giving it a bit of a send down country lanes and stuff. So it's pretty scary, really, when the only thing holding you to the road is a little piece of crusty metal. And I think round here as well, if I can find it, you know, like that part of the stop for the pedal literally just pulled off. I think that's the kick down switch for the accelerator. That literally fell off. Obviously there's the part for the brakes is a bit more substantial. As I mentioned, remove the auto box, so I had to remove the auto pedal box as well, but that was held on with a bracket to some solid metal, so at least I could have stopped if I needed to. The back, I've removed all the rear bumpers and everything off the rear end as much as what I need to. The only problem I've got here, really, it's a little bit dark at the moment. If you can see, just this is really common, E30s and E36s. Just the boot seal, you get a bit of, I'd imagine, because there's a rubber seal that sits over a metal lip like this, you'll probably get a bit of capillary attraction when water sits on here, and it'll just go up and get between the seam and rot it. Not the biggest deal in the world, really. If you are watching Tony, because I know you do watch sometimes, he said he's got a panel for me, so I've got a repair cut panel for that, but I do need to go to Essex to pick it up. So my friend Corey has collected some other bits for me. I mentioned I've got a front end cut, I've got a bulkhead cut, so I'm going to be going down and giving Corey a visit and checking out his E30 as well. So every cloud has a silver lining, I guess. As for other plans and stuff, I guess, the E30, as you can see, I'm going to be busy with this for quite a long time now. The dash and some of the interior stuff I've dropped off at the retrimmers, because being an E30, the dash is cracked, and I'm not really into the idea of paying sort of 400-500 quid for a dash that isn't cracked, when it will likely crack when I park it in the sun. I want to use this car as like a legitimate road car and use it on a regular basis to begin with, because obviously I've got my other build ongoing, which is more of a sort of track car, and I've got the M3 as well, so I need to sort of decide exactly what I want each car to do, I guess. But I mentioned I need to sort of get around the UK to go and collect some of my parts. My friend Till from Germany is talking about bringing his classic Range Rover to the UK so we can do a road trip to collect my parts, which sounds pretty crazy to the sane people, but you know, that's Till, and I'm sure if we do, it'll be a good time, so I'll video some of that stuff. As I mentioned, we'll probably go and see Ash in Warwick, so I need to go Birmingham way, and I'm going Essex way to pick some stuff up. So try and maybe see some of the guys from London and pop and see John O. And then Corey, he's got an M30 swapped E30. It's like a more sort of a track build really, so I'd like to go and do something with that. We've talked about it a couple of times, but it's just not really materialised this year because of lockdowns and restrictions, and then he went to the Nürburgring, I couldn't go, etc. As always, I was at work. However, in the short term, I have had quite a lot of the parts through already, so I had some suspension custom put together, and that was basically just to my spec and what I wanted, a few changes from sort of standard E30 stuff. And I got a custom subframe, as I mentioned, so I could go through the reasons why I'm using what I'm using, because I've ordered different anti-roll bars and other stuff really. Everything sort of complements each other, and I could sort of explain the reasons for doing it and show you the parts. If you'd like to see that, just sort of drop a comment below or whatever. Other than that, there's nothing really pressing with the M3 at the moment. I'm still enjoying sort of just using it, and got the new suspension and stuff. And the other car, the 2002, significant progress with that, but I've opted to sort of not film any of this stuff, and I'll go into more detail and explain everything in the long run, but it's just been a hell of a process really, and as much as some of it would have been quite entertaining for people, it hasn't really been for me, so we'll get into that in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.